Flatbreads are one of my favorite items to have when I go to a restaurant. And that's because I can put whatever toppings on it that I like. Now, I thought, why not try it right here at home? So I'm going to say to you, don't eat another flatbread until you try this. Hello, home cooks. I'm so glad you're here in the kitchen because today we're going to prepare some flatbreads. And you know, I love flatbreads. They go so nicely with a delicious salad that you can have on the side. And you can top those flatbreads right there for your family individually, or let them do the toppings and just place them into the oven to bake them. Now, we're not going to use the store-bought flatbreads today. We're going to make our own dough. So we're going to start from scratch, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. Now, if your schedule isn't such that you can make your own, then this particular recipe, you're actually going to be able to place it into the refrigerator and take it out whenever you're ready. So don't run. This is the place to be. Let's get that flatbread dough ready. I have placed in my mixing bowl 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And this is where we're going to start. We're going to mix it all here. We're going to put it into a larger container, let it rise, let it double, and then we're actually going to stick it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours. So this is the flour, and I'm going to get the water out of the microwave. I put the water in the microwave for about 35 seconds, and it just warmed it up just enough. And you know, this is the way you test it without having to use a thermometer. Take your finger, put in there. If it's too hot, then you know you're going to have to let it cool a few minutes. But this is like testing a baby's bottle. You know, you do not want that baby to have extremely hot milk. So you take it and you stick your finger in it very quickly. And if it's comfortable to your finger, then it's going to be comfortable, of course, to the baby. And our baby is yeast. The first thing we're going to do is to place a teaspoon of sugar into our water. One teaspoon into the water, and I'm going to give it a good stir. Just make sure that you've dissolved it. Okay, and then we're going to add 2 teaspoons and 1/4, which is 1 package of yeast, of active dry yeast. There's 1, 2, and 1/4. Now, we're going to stir well, and then we're going to let it bloom. Now, what that means when we let it bloom is that our yeast is going to have an opportunity to start to bubble and to get very comfortable in its surroundings. That means that it's going to be ready to make the gluten strands in our flour work. All right, so we're going to let this sit for about 5 minutes. Now, hopefully you can see where our yeast is bloomed, so that says that our yeast is nice and fresh. I'm going to make a well in the center of our flour, and then we're going to add something else. I have salt. I'm going to get a nice sized spoon at this point for the well. So I'm pushing that flour back. And in the center, I'm going to add in about 2, or at least 1.5 teaspoons or 1 heaping teaspoon of salt. Now, I'm using pink Himalayan. You use what you like. And for the salt, I'm really going to do more sprinkling. Then I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. There's 1. And there's 2. Because we need that in our pizza dough. Let's see. Got our olive oil, because we will need to come back to that olive oil. We've taken care of the slight bit of sweetness that we have. So I'm going to take this spoon and give it a good stir, because I want that salt to mix in with the flour so it doesn't impact our yeast. Okay, I'm going to form another well. Set this off to the side, and we're going to add our yeast mixture. Now you want to make sure that you get everything out of your container. Woo! That yeast smells so good. There's nothing like the smell of yeast when you're working with baking any kind of dough, actually. So I'm going to use my spoon and start this. Now, remember, if you have some type of mixer, you may certainly use that, but we're going to do this right here in our kitchen. We're going to do it on our counter. And my counter I have cleaned, but I'm going to wipe it off one more time, just for your benefit. Always remember to keep the counter nice and clean, and certainly is dry, and I'm going to place just a bit of flour on it. Not too much, just enough. And then I'm going to bring our flatbread pizza dough out. Notice I'm still using that spoon. Now that's because we're saving ourselves with a lot of cleanup. Okay, everything's out. Get everything off our spoons. Now, we're going to remove the jewelry because this is about to get messy. All right. I'm going to flour my hands, and let's work. Oh, this dough feels so good. Now what I like to do is fold, and you just continue to fold it and push. Fold and push. Getting a little sticky, I'll put a little flour under there. I'm going to fold and push. Fold it and push. And we're going to work this dough until it's smooth like a baby's bottom. and you'll find that it will come together very quickly. Now, flouring the hands as they get a little sticky. And you know, sometimes you really don't need a lot of flour. It's more for you than for the actual dough itself. This is coming together very quickly. I can feel the change in my ball of dough. I'm going to kind of roll it around and let it clean up the flour, because it is still a bit sticky. And if I absolutely have to add more flour, then I will. And since it's sticking quite a bit, I'm going to tap just a little flour off on the side, put my fingers in it, and work from there. Just flouring your hands will help you limit the excess amount of flour that will go into your dough. Oh, this is perfect. See, it's sticky, but it's not as sticky as it was at the beginning. So just a little tap there, just so we can work with it. There we go. Now this is going to take about anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half to rise. Maybe not even that long, but we want it to double. Okay, now I'm going to put this into a bowl, and in fact I think what I'll do is to wash this one down, and then we'll be able to put it in. I'm going to oil this and then place our dough inside of it. The nice thing about this particular dough, number one, is that it's so easy to bring together. Notice, we didn't have to have a mixer for this. We were able to do it right here on our countertop. very easily. And I'm just drying this bowl off in time enough to be able to put our dough inside, okay? The nice thing about this dough is that we can refrigerate it. And when you refrigerate it, that's just gonna tighten those gluten strands and give it just a little bit more time to work. So I'm just putting in a little layer of oil, maybe a couple of tablespoons down in the bottom. Notice I did not measure. And I'm going to take our bowl and I'm just running it around the sides a little bit. Doesn't have to come all the way up, but I want most of that covered. Now I'm going to pick up our dough and I'm going to take it and drop it in. Give it a nice turn. Then I'm going to flip it over and drop it in again. So there we go. It's in. And this baby, I'm going to put a little top on it just to keep the draft off of it. And we're going to let this sit for about an hour to an hour and a half, or at least it doubles. And let's use our bench scraper and do a really fast cleanup. If you feel any resistance on your counter, then you know you haven't gotten everything up. The nice thing is that the bench scraper will not damage your countertop. The nice thing about cleaning while you're working is that at the end you won't have so much to do. And I love being able to have a quick and easy cleanup at the end of the evening. While we're waiting, I wanted to have a little bit of the prep work done in advance. And so because of that, I am sauteing some Italian sausage. And I'm going to get it nice and done, but I don't want any excess color on it at all, because remember, this is going to have to go into the oven once it's time to actually cook the flatbread. So we just want to make sure that there is absolutely no pink whatsoever. So we're going to work through that. You guys know I absolutely love having you right here in the kitchen. And it is always a pleasure to do all kinds of fun things that we like to do. And so I hope that you will take the time to click that like button and that you'll subscribe. Our dough has about 15 more minutes to continue its rise. So while it's doing that, I'm having a chance to take a look at my friend Mary's new cookbook. It's called The Modern Pioneer, and she is wonderful. She tells you all the things that you need to know about preparing yourself, preparing your kitchen. I've taken many a day that I've taken advice from some of the things that she's done. And, you know, as home cooks, we are never too seasoned to learn something new. So I'm going to be checking out Mary's book. and taking a real close look. It is a beautiful book. For instance, on this page, and this is something I want to do, I want to clarify my butter. So I'm going to take the time to read this very carefully so that I can produce some ghee. I think they pronounce it ghee or ghee. And so I will have a chance to do that. And should I decide that that works out very, very well, then I'll share it with you. I know it tastes good because I've purchased it, but I've never done it myself. So now I have the instructions for being able to do that, and Mary's given it to me. So if you don't have her book, you definitely want Modern Pioneer. I'll link that down in the description box below. Here's our beautiful dough, and I'm very gently taking the top off. See how pretty that looks? Ooh, I can't wait. Now, I'm going to put just a tad bit of flour down on my counter, and in fact, I think I have some cornmeal, and if I do, I'm going to use cornmeal instead of the flour. Okay, I got a little ahead of myself. Since this is the first rise, I'm just going to sprinkle a little flour here in my hand. Notice I'm just rubbing that together because that's all we're going to need. And we're going to very gently let this come out of this container. Ooh, isn't that nice? Now, we're going to take this off. It feels amazing. And we're going to work it a little bit. Feels so much better. Oh yeah, this is the texture we want. And because we had put the oil in that vessel, it's nice and well oiled, and it's not sticking to the counter much at all. All right, so we're going to take this and I'm going to put it right back into this mixing bowl. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to find a better top for it. And in fact, I may have to use another bowl, but we're going to find a container with a top that I can place into my refrigerator and refrigerate this until just before time for dinner. And at that point, we're going to be ready to roll this into our flatbreads. Ah, how exciting. All right, I have a clean top and a clean container. I don't have to put anything in there at this point because we had the oil from the other container. And I'm going to sit that off on the side. If you want to put just a drop of oil in the bottom, you certainly can. I think I'll do one drop. There we go. Just that little sprig. If you can't see that, I don't know if you can see that right there. Just a little drip. And take my hand and just kind of roll it around. Got a clean top. And we're going to take our beautiful, beautiful flatbread pizza dough. And you know, this is a great thing to fix on the weekend when you can let everybody make their own little flatbread once you know what they like. Have those ingredients on hand, and then that way they can sprinkle their own ingredients on, and it's just a matter of putting it into the oven to bake it. All right, so there we go. There's the top, there's the bottom, and this is going into the refrigerator. It's going to stay in there for the rest of today until about 6 o'clock tonight. And about 6 o'clock, I'll take it out, flatten it out into the flatbreads, and get it ready for a nice hot oven. I put parchment in the vessels that are going to actually hold the flatbread. And I also sprinkled that parchment with a little bit of cornmeal because that will help to alleviate some of the sticking. I've broken the dough into 4 different parts. Now, 4 is not a magic number. It just depends on how many people that you're serving. But I thought 4 would work quite nicely for what we were doing. And I'm not really particular about the shape of the flatbread, so I've just taken a piece, I've got it rolled out, and then I'm going to place it onto my sheet pan. Now, once I have it onto the sheet pan, then I can start to load on the toppings. I did ask the big guy what exactly he wanted. Where I wanted more sausage, he wanted more shrimp, and so guess what? We're going to mix the two. And in addition to that, I'm going to add some celery, a little bit of peppers. Of course, onions have to be in there. But here's the nice thing. Instead of using a tomato base as my pizza sauce, I'm going to use pesto because I think that's just going to give it a very nice Italian flair. So stay with me and watch, and let's put these flatbreads together. I'm putting these flatbreads in, and I think I'm going to set it on a 500-degree oven, which means I'm going to have to keep a close eye on them because I don't want it to burn, and I certainly don't want to overcook the shrimp because everything else is going to be done very quickly. The sausage is already prepared and the vegetables will cook very quickly. So we're going to get them in, and when it's ready, I'm going to show you what it looks like. Oh my goodness. I wish you could smell this kitchen. Between the smell of the flatbread itself, baking, as well as the toppings that are on the flatbread, I'm telling you, you will never, never, never want to go to another pizza restaurant or even have flatbread at another restaurant because you can do this at home. And you can do it so easily. I can't wait to get this on the table. Home cooks, I hope you know that you are always welcome into the kitchen of Ebony Ivy and Thyme. I hope that you, if you have not been a part of this family, that you stopped and that you subscribed. And don't forget to hit that like button as well. Now, come back to the kitchen and have a great time with me preparing easy and delicious weeknight meals. I'll see you soon. Blessings.